everybody, my name is Emily. Welcome back to my homestead. Today I am finally getting my garlic planted. I kind of feel like the white rabbit from Alice in Wonderland has been my spirit animal this garden season, and every time I go to plant something I'm saying I'm late. Once again late to plant my garlic. Not as late as last year though. We didn't even move into this property until about a week and a half, 2 weeks from now, the very end of October. So the garlic didn't get planted till at least the first week of November. And it's currently about mid-October. We have already had our first frost, and second, and third, and fourth, and even like a hard freeze. And I believe it's recommended to get your garlic planted a few weeks before your first frost date. I didn't even receive my garlic that I ordered in the mail from a Michigan company, no less, until like a week before we actually had our first frost, which was, I think, after our estimated one. So I'm gonna get it in the ground today. This is the first row in the garden, and last year I planted it down on that half of it, and I planted potatoes here. I'm going to plant the garlic here this year. You can see the grass is coming in. It's trying to take over down there. It's completely taken over. I mean, not completely, but a lot worse. And so I'm just going to scrape back this mulch. I'm going to weed whack around this area and probably try to get out that really big grass right there that's coming in. Then I'm going to go down to the wood pile to get some dirt, which sounds weird, but you'll see when we get down there. There's actually a big pile of dirt down there. And put that on top of this bed in hopes to amend it. Hopefully it's better soil than what we have going on here. Throw some fertilizer down, and then get the garlic planted and remulched. So here we are at the wood pile, stuff that has yet to be stacked for winter, which, I mean, it's coming pretty close. We've gotten most of one pile of the two piles done. Not sure why we haven't gotten it finished yet, but I mean, it's a lot of hard work. And it's mostly me doing it with occasional help from the children. The biggest reason is because most of this wood is too long to fit into our wood burning furnace, so I'm having to cut it all in half with the chainsaw, which is very time consuming. So that's why it's not all stacked yet. But we're working on it. Hopefully we'll get it done before it starts to snow. And this is why we are down here to get some dirt, because this first pile that we've got most everything out of is quite a bit of dirt. There might be some more logs in there mixed in, but that one over there is mostly logs. There's a little bit of dirt too, but this one has a lot of dirt mixed in with the logs, which on the negative side, I paid for firewood, and on the positive side, looking on the bright side here, I can probably put this in my garden. because it's much more, you know, soil-like than what's currently in my garden, which is very sandy. There's definitely, it's still sandy for sure, but not as much. So I'm hoping it'll help the garden out a bit. So I'm gonna get a load or two, or however many I feel like I need, hauled up to the garden and dumped in that area. Let's get going. Look at this guy. He's a huge fat earthworm. That'll definitely be good for my garden. I just got half a load this time because I think that's plenty to do the area I'm working on right now. But there's definitely plenty more dirt that I can come back and get for other parts of the garden, which is nice. There's some clay in there that I saw, which is awesome because there's zero clay in the current vegetable garden area. I think this will definitely help this year. I wasn't able to get a compost pile set up how I would have liked it yet, so I doubt that I'm going to have any compost that I can make before next spring. I'm still going to try to make a compost pile, and when we clean out the chicken coop before winter sets in, then hopefully we'll be able to put that in that area to compost. But I am not a compost expert, or like I'm barely even a novice. Like, I'm not good at hot compost. I'd like to become good at it because it would be very helpful for the garden. But at this time, I have not been able to get a hang of it. So probably no homemade compost this go around for next spring. So let's get this load or half load up there onto the new garlic bed and get the garlic in the ground. I just put Trifecta Plus, which is a fertilizer that I've been using, over the top of the soil. I'm going to give that a little, mix in just to the top with my rake, and then I'm going to plant my garlic, which I've got 3 kinds this year. I only bought 3 kinds. I bought German Extra Hardy, Music, and I think Early Italian soft neck. Music and German Extra Hardy are both hard neck garlics, and the Early Italian is a soft neck garlic. I got all of them from M.I. Gardener. Last year I bought a lot more varieties. I don't remember how many exactly, maybe 6. And I liked these 3. They seem to do the best, like they grew the biggest bulbs, the heads of garlic this spring. So these are the 3 I'm going to plant this year. I got 6 of the Early Italian and 3 each of Music and German Extra Hardy. The German Extra Hardy, when I was breaking them apart, some of the papers were like peeling off and exposing them and making them not good to plant. Exposing the actual edible garlic part. It happened a little bit with the early Italian, but they have so many bulbs per, so many cloves per head that it really didn't make much of a difference. And I know there's still a couple in this bag that I didn't set to the side. I didn't think about that to begin with, so when I see them, I'll set them to the side and just take them back into the kitchen to use. And so the German Extra Hardy and the Music, they don't actually produce very many cloves per head, but they are very big. So depending on what happens this year, I will probably do less early Italian because I've got a ton. There's a ton of cloves, and then more of these two hardnecks, just because they have so many fewer cloves per head. So for this year, this is what I've got, and hopefully we'll have a good harvest next year. Before I plant this last type of garlic, I just want to say I'm planting them about 2 inches apart and 1.5 to 2 inches deep. And I did hard neck, soft neck, hard neck, just so I can easily distinguish between the different varieties. And you plant them with this part where it was attached to the bottom of the head down and the pointy part up, because this is where it starts growing from. And that's it. I've definitely prepared more space than I need for this, which is fine. I'm just going to go ahead and cover it all with mulch when I'm done putting them in, and then I'm going to cover them all up at once. I've just left the holes open so I can see where I've been putting them. I raked the mulch back over and then raked over some of the grass that I had cut down earlier just to kind of finish it off. It's got a nice fluffy layer there, and hopefully that'll be enough to insulate it over the winter. It should start growing hopefully before winter really sets in, and then it'll basically just be dormant for the winter and start growing again in spring and give us a whole bunch of garlic to eat for this time next year. So we've just been getting into the garlic that we picked this year. We started eating on that, and you know, garlic is delicious, of course. A quick update on the chickens, since they are right here and the guineas keep yelling at me and reminding me that they're there. They've been integrated for about a week and a half since I took that section of fencing down, and they've kind of been going back and forth between the two coop areas. So some nights some of the older chickens are sleeping in the little chicken area, and some of the little chickens have started sleeping in the older chicken area. And Eensy-Weensy Baby, the older chicken that had been not doing so well that day, she's kind of had good days and bad days since then, where sometimes she was sleeping on the roost and sometimes she would sleep on the floor, and you know, some days she'd just run around and have more energy, and other days she'd be really slow, like she was the day they made that last video. Well, this morning she passed away. She was sleeping on the roost last night, when I put them all to bed. But she was down away from the roost on the floor when I found her this morning. So she'd already gotten up for the morning and moved, or maybe moved sometime in the night. But it was expected. It wasn't apparent that she was in any sort of suffering, just that she was getting really old and not having good days every day. But she was still eating, she was still drinking, she was still able to move around. She was, able to get up on the top roosting bar on that very last night. So I feel confident that she passed pretty peacefully. And of course, we're all sad. We've had this chicken for eight-ish years, something like that. I believe my youngest is about to turn 12, and I think she was maybe either about to turn 4 or was 4 when we got them. And she actually named Eensy-Weensy Baby. And I think I misspoke in the last video that we named her that because she was the smallest. That was not true. Fluffy was actually the smallest because the rest of them were getting their feathers in, and Fluffy still had all the down feathers and was very fluffy. So she was the littlest one. Fluffy is still over there. Might actually be that red one right there. Yes, that is Fluffy right there. And Fluffy has not always been so fluffy. She's usually had the most crunchy, unpettable feathers. But this year she's actually really soft, which is nice. She's living more up to her name this year. Thank you for coming along with us today. Well, me, I guess. Me and the chickens. Thanks for coming along with me and the chickens today. As I got the garlic planted. I've been wanting to do this for weeks and just something always keeps coming up. And I cannot wait to see you in the next video. Bye!